Well, I'm not done with the bucket yet, you know that. I'm going to squeeze a few more out. And for those of you who are going to get tired of it and want to go back to the doorway, we got maybe one, well, maybe this could be the last one with the bucket. But we are in this wonderful book, Life Beyond Belief by Alice Gardner, Everyday Living as Spiritual Practice. Life beyond belief, not just what we believe, but what we know we already truly are. So we can have an experience of the beloved presence to bring our awakening into all the places in us where we're not yet awake. So about, chapter 6, chapter 7, 8, 9, 10. Chapter 7, we dealt with that everybody has a belief system. We've all got our bucket of BS, our belief system. And we talked about how much of our beliefs come from our parents when we were very young. Got placed in the bottom of the bucket before we had the conscious filter to be able to decide what to keep and what not to keep. And that's what comes up when we have our life with other people. Last week we talked about when you enter into a relationship with someone, that you see the conditioning you have coming up for healing. We say that, well, there was Richard's belief system meets Maureen's belief system, and together we created this third thing, two or more gathered together in the name of, and there comes our relationship together. And what happens in our relationship with Flesh On is that we have a perfect mirror of what's still going on inside of us. In our relationship with others, we're noticing the dynamics of our own inner self in a form we can heal and work with in the world. But it's rough work. And now we're going to deal with chapter 10, which is to look at our conditioning around our bucket of spiritual beliefs. Do you see that? Everybody has a bucket of spiritual beliefs. Even those who say they don't. Why? I'm agnostic. I don't believe in God. Well, that becomes your belief about God. Christian, Hindu, Muslim, Jews, mystics, regular people, tall people, short people, all have a bucket of spiritual beliefs. Everybody does. Charles Fillmore, our co-founder of Unity, said, "You're always getting the results of the kind of God you believe in." Because whatever you believe God to be, he, she, we, or it will become for you. There's no way around it. So we're looking at our bucket of spiritual beliefs and the traps that come when we get stuck in believing ours is the only way, the truth, and the light. We see every war ever being fought because someone believes that they have received the only interpretation of the Bible or the Quran or the Pali Canon, and believe it or not, this is it, and if you don't want to be in my bucket with me, you're going to get in trouble. I'm going to hit you over the head with this bucket, and every war is fought over a battle of belief systems, and the truth is, that's not what was ever meant to be, is it? So we in Unity, we keep our bucket of spiritual beliefs open to the presence. I like to call it this, Maureen actually brought this up. You always want to make sure with everything you think you know about your bucket of spiritual beliefs, remember always to keep, what is that? A hole in the bottom of your bucket. Maureen wouldn't let me actually put a hole in this bucket because it is a good bucket. But that's a hole. Keep it open so you're not just getting stuck. The stuff's pouring out so new energy can be poured in. Charles Fillmore said, "I reserve the right to change my mind. The truth I adhere to today may not be the truth I adhere to tomorrow. I'm interested in the spirit of the law, not the letter of the law." So in Unity, our tent is really big. We can welcome all kinds of folks who have all kinds of beliefs. Come on in, gather around, find out about the spiritual principles. Apply them to your life, and as you apply them to your life will begin to change. Let the proof be in the pudding. Let it be how your life shows you that these principles are actually working, whether you believe in them or not. They just work. They are what brings forth heavenly energy right here now on earth. And in this chapter, we are advised, even we New Agers, to be aware of our spiritual belief system, because the ego, the mind-made self, is very tricky. I like all this New Age stuff. I love incense and all these beautiful bodies doing yoga postures. All these women, young, hugging each other. Hey, let me in on this. Yeah, baby, I like spiritual stuff. Ooh, baby, 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 baby. The ego sneaks in and takes over. How does it happen for us New Age people? Well, we start to think that we're spiritual and other people are unspiritual. How do you know if you're spiritual? You're very trendy. You have Deepak Chopra books and Wayne Dyer books on your bookshelves. You've been through the Course in Miracles 15 times. In your backyard, you've got a Kuan Yin and a Buddha. Oh man, you are so spiritual. And other people, well, they're not like us. They're not spiritual. Beware of that spiritual trap. Actually, our first lesson summation point says it beautifully. It says, religions, traditions, and spiritual paths can easily become institutionalized techniques used to maintain dominance. Ooh, I didn't use that last service. Ouch, that one kind of pokes at us. But also, a choice point, they can also hold the potential to be used as ladders we can use to ascend out of that dominance. Yeah, it's a very tricky line that we follow when we look at what we do in our own way, in our own life, with being spiritual. This is spiritual, this is unspiritual. These people are in and those people are out. We have to beware of that. I've got to be on guard for it all the time. Well, you know, that person has negative emotions because they're still stuck in their ego. If they were spiritual like me, they wouldn't be stuck in their ego, and that they wouldn't be acting the way they are. Oh man, that is such a trap. It isn't one or the other, it's both. It isn't heaven, oh, heaven is good, hell is bad, or heaven is good and earth is bad. It isn't ego bad and my spiritual self is good. It isn't one or the other, it is absolutely both. And as we mature on the path of awakening, we see that degree of illumination in everyone and everything, in every tradition. And we don't hold ourselves to be superior to anyone or anything. Beliefs are just beliefs. They're mental constructs. That's all they are. These are my beliefs. But our beliefs are just partial information. With everything that we know, there's so much more that can still be known. So we keep our bucket of beliefs open, fresh, new, alive. That's what matters. We apply them in our lives, and we see the difference that makes in our lives. I thought of a Bible quote. I haven't opened the Bible in a while, and so I thought I would throw out the Bible for a little bit. Some of you will be happy about this, others will wish that I had not opened it. But that's unity, right? Here we are now. We're in 1 Corinthians 15:40, and it says, there are heavenly bodies and earthly bodies, but the degree of heavenly is of one degree, and the glory of the earthly is of another degree. Now, if you took that word and did a synonym for it and put in spirituality, hear how it sounds now. There are heavenly bodies and earthly bodies, but the spirituality of the heavenly is of one degree, and the spirituality of the earthly is of another degree. It isn't different. It's one presence and one power. There isn't spiritual and unspiritual. There is just one presence and one power in different degrees of manifestation. Wow, I like that when I heard that. In 2 Corinthians 3:8, all, and we are all, this is everybody now, we are all, everyone is beholding the glory of the Lord of oneness, and are being transformed into that same glory from one degree of glory to another. Isn't that beautiful? So everything you see is just a different degree or manifestation of the one presence and one power. Be aware when you start to pull things apart. And of course, put you on the side of the things that you like and put them on the side of the things that you don't like. Be aware of spiritual pride. It happens and slips in, particularly in our spiritual circles. Just be and bring awareness to it. She talks about it in the book, that it can be a trap. It can be a really, really big trap that many of us fall into. And I thought about the idea of maybe we just need different terminology. Rather than things being spiritual and unspiritual, how about we call it a spiritualization process that we are involved with. We are involved in a spiritualization process of awakening both our earthly and our spiritual life to the truth of who we truly are. There isn't one degree that's better than any other degree. It's just different manifestations of the one presence and the one power. I'll give you an example to help clarify that. Of course, I have an example where the rubber hits the road. There was a particular person that we were dealing with this week, last week, and I shared this with some of the people in class on Wednesday night. And this person was going to do a certain kind of work for us. And we'd actually hired this person to do this kind of work for us. And we set a time up when we would get together the next day, and this person would perform a certain thing for us. And so Maureen and I realized that as the day wore on, Thursday, we would not be able to get ourselves ready for what this person would do for us the next day. So at 8 o'clock in the evening, we ended up calling this person on the phone. He wasn't there, and we said, "We're so sorry. We just don't have what we need to have ready to take your services on. We'd like to just let this appointment go. We're sorry, we can't do it. I'm sorry it caused you any inconvenience." And we hung the phone up. Within a matter of moments, and it was so quick when it happened, we received one phone call, and then another phone call, and a third phone call. And we kind of knew it was probably from the person, because we shut the phone off and we were playing cards. But before that, let me back up. We decided that the right thing to do was to offer this person half the amount of money, because we canceled the appointment very late in the day. Like when you have a doctor's appointment, if you wait too long, you give them a deposit back. So we thought we would do that. When we finally did put the phone back on, and by the way, here's a spiritual practice. It's okay to shut off your phone. It's really okay to shut off the phone. You really can do it. You can shut it off. You don't need to know. If you want to know what the weather is, look out the damn window. It's raining, it's bright, it's sunny. It's just the weather. I don't need to check it every 10 minutes to tell me what I already know. Shut the thing off. So we put it back on again, and I'm glad we shut the phone off and played cards, because the messages, one was weirder than the next. "I expect you to be at my house at this time, and I expect you to bring that money, and I expect it to be in the exact form at the exact time that we agreed upon." And the next one even got, "And I want you to know, I really expect you to be there." And then it got worse. By the third time, we thought, this person is off their medication. Who is this person? A casual encounter has the potential to become a holy encounter. This was someone that had no face in my mind. I didn't know who this person was. But again, we had decided that night that we were going to give back half the amount of money. But it was one of those really restless nights where you're wondering, I wonder how this is going to go, because I'm not sure about this person's stability. And they're certainly not spiritual, otherwise they would never leave 3 messages like that. This is unspiritual. We'll be spiritual. So I get on the next day, my Harley Davidson with the money in an envelope, and I pull up to the address of the house. And when I pulled up to the house, he was standing on the porch. He was watering his plants. Now part of me, my plan of my mind-made self, my separate self, was just to take the envelope, stick it under the door, and get out of Dodge. But here was this person standing on the porch. And it was like something inside of me said, walk across, hear this now, walk across the street. This is your energy to deal with. When you meet anyone, remember it's a holy encounter. This is your energy to expand your spiritual bucket of beliefs, your BS, get your butt across the street. So I walked across the street, and he was standing on the porch, physically shaking like this. And Maureen said to me, "Well, duh, you pulled up on a 1200 custom, loud as could be, black Harley Davidson. You got your black pants on and your big old boots. You're about 5'10" now, a leather jacket, and you come teaming across the street. I'd be shaking too." I said, "But honey, I had my Love Is the Way t-shirt on." And I did! I deliberately put that red t-shirt on. But of course, my jacket wasn't open to it. And I walked up to him and I said, "I'm Richard of Richard and Maureen. I am so sorry for any inconvenience our behavior may have caused you. We wanted to share this with you." And it was an amazing moment of everything shifting. We moved out of space and time and moved into the heavenly realm. It was a connection we had with each other. And he said, "I can't believe that you would come here and do this. You have no idea how much this means to me in my life today that you're doing this." And I said, "It's not the full amount, it's just half the amount." He thought the deposit was enough. He goes, I don't care what the amount is. That you would be willing to do this means more to me than you will ever know. And I handed him the money, and I bowed to him in that moment. I got back on my Harley, and I roared off into the sunset. I was so overwhelmed by the experience that I literally started going down a one-way road. So I pulled over to the side and just let myself absorb what did just happen. It was a manifestation of the mind-made self who said, slip it under the door, and if you can, don't go near this lunatic, because he's not spiritual. My spiritual self in that moment said, you are to cross that street. Hear this now in your life. Cross the street from one degree of glory to another degree of glory. Get rid of your story and meet this person. He could have just as easily attacked me, right? And then I'd tell you a different story. With my bad hip and all. Oh, please, let's not that. Ow, ow, ow. It's not going to work. The knee. Oh, no knee. No hip. You do it because in the moment you're called upon to do that. That is your practicing of the spiritual principle, to bring it into your life. It's so important. And that goes beyond religion and space and time and differences and isms and schisms. It's in those moments where you don't try to dominate an experience, you try to be part of it and see what can happen to bring healing on the planet. This is happening everywhere, by the way, all over the planet. There's actually millions of us who are taking this path now and awakening to who we truly are and embodying that and going beyond our boundaries and stepping through our fears. She says so beautifully in this last paragraph in this chapter on conditioning with spirituality. If we are able to see our structure of beliefs for what it really is and not allow it to constrict our view of the world, we are then free to use our spiritual path or religion as a helpful structure for supporting the process of ascension into freedom, wholeness, and unity. The many different ways, traditions, and religions can then simply reflect the personal and cultural differences that humanity exhibits. We honor these differences and do not need to find fault, though we are free, of course, to see areas that may need to be completed or opened more. In the same way that the deconstruction of the conditioning is unique according to the content involved, each of the different religions or traditions is unique to a particular type of person or to a particular culture. We see how there is a way for every one of us and tools for every one of us according to who we have been in the rich uniqueness of our human stories. Yes! So we don't want to be part of separation, we want to be part of bringing oneness into the world. So a few days later, I'm sitting in a hot tub. And I got a big old Om tattoo on my chest with an everlasting life symbol on it from, Maureen wouldn't let me show you this. My last Sunday I will be showing it, by the way, so be sure to be here for it. There'll be no Sunday after that, so. And then there's a tattoo of the oneness symbol, all the world's religions. And I could feel in his questioning, he was part of open tent consciousness. He said, so what does that mean? I said, well, this is, Om, it means Amen, or oneness, and this is all the world's religions. It means Lokahi, it means oneness. Every religion is about oneness. He goes, oh, really? And I said, yeah, actually, I'm the minister at the Unity Place in Wilmington. No kidding. He goes, well, what is it that you believe? And he didn't say it with that edge, which is, I've got a Bible in my back pocket even though I'm here almost naked. It wasn't that kind of thing. It was an inquiry into what my spiritual bucket of beliefs were. And so I said to him, I served it to him, I said, well, in a simple explanation, we come from oneness. Everything is one. We come from oneness. And then we had a moment when we separated ourselves from that oneness. Oneness from God, or love, or the universe, and felt separate from each other. And then we journey back into that oneness again, and live our lives from oneness rather than separation. And that each spiritual tradition has a teacher that went on that journey. Jesus, the Buddha, Krishna all went from oneness into separation and back to oneness. And we teach the spiritual principles that allow us to feel more connected and one with people rather than be separate and fearful. And he said, I believe in that too. He's not here today, but he believes in it. And however, with everything I just told you, that's not the whole story, is it? Those are just concepts. They're beliefs. They're mental constructs. I think they're pretty close to the truth. But I ain't done yet learning and evolving and growing. Are you? You're not done yet. Part of it is a mystery being revealed to us. And so when we journey into how to practice these things we talked about, it's real important to remember our quotes in the Bible. I want to go back to them again for closing. There are heavenly bodies and earthly bodies, but the glory, the spiritualization of the heavenly is of one degree, and the glory, the spiritualization of the earthly, is of another degree. It's all part of one presence and one power. Beware of separating them out. And we are all, that's all of us in this room, that's really everybody on the planet, whether they know it or not, it's happening right now, are beholding the glory, the spiritualization of the Lord God of our being, and we are being transformed into that same image and likeness from one degree of glory to the next. That is our story. That's why you signed up to be here. And friends, there ain't no time like the present to cross that street and continue to practice. 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 Namaste.